Hey everyone, this is Mario again, coming at you with another review. Today's review is of a movie that, as you guys remember, it's one of the DVRs that my good buddy Jeffrey was kind enough to send me a while ago, and I've been meaning to watch it, but since it's Monster Fest, I said, I might as well, this doesn't seem like seems like a good time to break it out. Now, the movie, of course, I'm reviewing is the 1986 horror sci-fi film that was actually, I didn't really notice until I just did a little research. It was actually produced by Roger Corman and his wife Julia. I did not know that. So, but then after watching the movie, I'm like, okay, it makes a little sense. Of course, the movie is Chopping Mall, or as it was originally called, Killbots. I didn't know it had an original title either. Now, the thing with this movie is it's one of those movies in the 80s that did poorly at the box office, which, watching the movie, I'm like, I don't know why. But I'm guessing that the original title had something to do with it, because from the research I've done, people thought it might have been like a Transformers rip-off, and I could, just from the title alone, I can say, I see why they think that, but it's not Transformers. You don't have to take out a list and cross off toys on your list. I know, a cheap joke, but it's one of those movies that it does kind of have sort of an audience. I mean, it has a 5.2 on IMDb, so it has some fans. It could be like a couple minor points higher, like 5.5 at least. As you can tell already, I like this film. And, you know, it's mutual. I mean, Jeffrey sent me the DVD, so obviously he likes the film. If I remember correctly, I believe it was on, I could be wrong, but I think it was on Matt's 69 favorite horror movies list. I'm not quite sure. I think Mike likes it. Don't know about Michael King, but I know he likes films of this type, so he'd probably like this film if he hasn't seen it. Now, it also has been released on DVD a couple times, like a Lionsgate DVD, and 04 had special features. Since it had a featurette and a commentary, maybe I'll look to see if the featurette's up on YouTube, see if it is of interest. But the movie itself was directed by Jim Wynorski, which I want to see what else this guy's directed, if anything. If this is his only film that he directed, that's going to be kind of a shame, because he did look like he was talented. Let's see, as a director, he directed this, Return of the Swamp Thing, 976 Evil 2, The Astro Factor, Sorority House Massacre 2, Ghoulies 4, Curse of the Komodo vs. Cobra, Dino Croc vs. Super Gator. So basically, he just delved into the B-movie genre, which is kind of which I guess from this movie I can see probably why I do that. But I would like to have seen this guy hem like a bigger budget horror movie, maybe in the early '90s. That would have been his time to try it. But for what it is, he does a pretty good job directing, and it's a Corman produced movie, so you should know already what it's getting into. Also, there are two cuts of this movie, and I did not check offhand, so I don't know which cut of the film I watched. I know there's a 77-minute cut, and then there's a 95-minute cut. And I could check right now because it's in the thing, but then I'd have to pause the video and then check something, and as you can tell, I have a game in. I was playing, if you guys are wondering, it's the Castlevania game for PS3, in case anyone's wondering, but I will check, and then I'll write it in the description box if I remember, of course, by the time I upload this, since you know I don't know what order I'm uploading these videos in. But like I said, I don't know which one, but apparently it was only edited after when it went from theaters to VHS, which you guys know I hate it when they do that. I mean, they did it to TMNT, the 90s version, which I don't know why. And then they do it to a couple other movies. I just hate it. If you're gonna do that, why don't you just do it while it's in theaters? Take it out of theaters and re-release it or something, and then, I don't know, it just makes no sense. Making an extended cut, like with a director's cut, it makes sense, with that, no. Anyway, the plot of the movie is that we got Park Plaza Mall, and they have just installed state-of-the-art security system, which basically, it includes these 3 robots that are kind of like, the Johnny Five of the security world. So basically, as if you had taken the idea for Johnny Five, put it in the private sector, and make it into home security systems. So it's one step below RoboCop. These are Robo-Rent-A-Cops. Basically, Robo-Rent-A-Cops. Stop, you're speeding, lady. Fuck off, I'm the queen. You know, I had to put that in there. Now, these 3 robots are programmed to disable using tasers and tranquilizer guns. Now, the night that they're first about to be put into the mall, 4 couples, one of them is a married couple, and the other 3 are dating teenagers, most of which work at the mall. They decide to have the party after work at a furniture store, and of course, you know, this is an 80s horror movie, so you know a couple of them are going to have sex, so they already break one of the rules. Big no-no, big no-no. Yeah, okay. And the third and the last one don't. They just watch an old sci-fi movie, which you're like, friend zone, but they just met, so you kind of would expect it. I mean, you would expect a line from Family Guy if she did, but anyway, while they're doing this, outside a lightning storm happens, and it happens to hit the computer that is controlling the security robots. So they go haywire, they kill their technician and her janitor, and then start to patrol the mall. And of course, they come across the teens, and it's basically, as you can tell from the title, Chopping Mall, basically the robots going after the kids. And of course, you're going to tell they're going to have to survive, and that's basically the movie, them trying to survive and destroy the robots and survive the night. Because part of the security system is that these big metal doors close. Now, I have to say, this, other than the robot thing, this would be the perfect mall to be stuck in during a zombie apocalypse. I mean, like, where were those doors during Dawn of the Dead? Either one. I mean, wouldn't that come in handy? Granted, you'd probably want to deactivate the program so the doors stay closed. The only time that would suck is if some zombies happen to get in another way and you're stuck by one of the doors, but hey, it makes sure no zombies could get in through that door. And it might work in 8-Legged Freaks, but I don't know. Anyway, this movie does have a kind of humor you would expect from an 80s horror movie, like the lines. Like the opening scene alone, you get a few little... I got a lot of chuckles from a couple of the background characters. And that's why I'm actually kind of sad this film didn't make as much money as it should have. I mean, it only had a budget of $800,000, so not even $1 million, and I don't even know what it made, but because it doesn't really say, it just says that it did poorly. So for me, for a film like this to do poorly, it would have to have made barely a little over its budget, like $1 million on that size of budget. Because I don't know if back then how heavily a film like this would have been advertised. Probably not that much, despite it being a Corman movie, but it probably must have done really badly if it's like that. But like I say, it's one of those films like The Blob and other movies from the 80s that have gotten an audience since then, and I'm actually glad it has a special edition DVD. Whether or not I'll buy the special edition DVD since I have the DVD-R, I don't know. Maybe after subsequent watching the movie, it'll start to grow on me more. As you can tell, I love the movie, or like the movie. I wouldn't say love the movie, but probably I'll start to love it one day. And like I mentioned, it has a 5.3 on IMDb, and it has a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's from the critics, so... But you guys know the critics usually only like highbrow movies most of the time. But I want to see what the audience is on Rotten Tomatoes real quick. Oh no, it's lower, 36. That's bad. That's one of the times I agree more with IMDb than I do with Rotten Tomatoes. Kind of sad, but it's, as you guys can tell, I can't recommend this movie enough. I don't know if it's on VHD, but you guys can check. If not, maybe I have an AVI of this film as well. I got in case I wanted to use tribute. So I know it's on YouTube. So if you guys have that Real Player download thing, get it from there if you want to watch it or something. Or tricks if it's not on VHD, that is. But you guys, I highly recommend that if you are a fan of horror movies, especially 80 horror movies that have a little bit of a humor to it, I recommend it. And of course, one thing I will say, if they remake, this is a movie I hope they don't remake. Because if they remade it, they would take away all that was fun about the movie, and it'd just be a big CGI fest. So this is one of those movies that I hope Hollywood stays the hell away from when it comes to remaking. In all honesty, I'd rather, even though it's unneeded, I'd rather see a sequel to this film than a remake. Not just me. But overall, I'd like to see them leave it alone more than either of those. And my rating for Chopping Mall, 4 out of 5 stars. And like I said, recommended if you're a fan of 80s horror movies. Oh yeah, guys, there's one thing I forgot to talk about. I forgot to talk about the acting. I bet some of you were wondering, hey, he's not talking about the acting. Oh, well. Anyway, the acting is basically what you would expect in a movie like this. Not Oscar-worthy, but not horrible. They kind of fit their characters. To use acting terminology, they properly use their objective and super objective. Not to the point to where it's like any performances stand out and you're like, he or she is really good at their craft. but not any of the two where you're like, oh god, they properly used it. And I don't. What the heck is Odie barking at? Is he barking at a bad movie? Oh my god, Odie must have just watched The Devil Inside. Anyway. Sorry about that, I lost my train of thought, but it was serviceable acting, I guess you could say. Serviceable acting. And no, didn't really notice that much over the topness, but it's the type of acting you would expect in an 80s movie of this genre. But like I said, not good, not super, not extraordinary, but not piss poor where you're like, oh god. It's the type of performances I think some actors nowadays probably need to study from. And again, the main problem with most actors nowadays is that they, to use terminology from my class, they start with emotion instead of with. They start with emotion, and then lead that into their objective instead of starting with objective and letting the emotion come from that. Anyway, like I said before, I just did this. You guys know what my rating is, so see ya.